Grab your cocktail and get ready for this episode of the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast. Welcome to the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Freemasons while drinking an old fashioned. I'm Brian, and yeah, it's a little weird to have a special edition on a Monday. Happy Labor Day. We want to talk about something that has happened in Clandyland. I wouldn't say it's in Masonry because it's not a recognized body to us. So as you've seen on our channel, which is all public information, before I start, everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty, right? So a deputy grand master was arrested. We'll go through the charging document, the accusations, and the previous history of this individual. So I've got a question here. In any organization, put Masonry, clandestine Masonry, put all of that aside. If you're in an organization that you're proud of, Rotary, Lions Club, your church, your place of business, all of these things, if it's okay if your leader has had something happen in the past, things happen, right? You know, and I think as humans, we can look past things. But you're going to see something very interesting. Maybe form your own opinion. We're not judging. I'm just laying out all of the public information. If something had happened in our deputy grand master in in a jurisdiction I'm involved in, if this would have happened, obviously innocent until proven guilty. But when this stuff starts to surface, I would say, made some mistakes in the past. And then again and again, it just becomes this thing. And after a while, if my organization had been tied to, based on a lot of stuff that I've heard, am I part of an organization where somebody's going to be able to prove some organized crime? I don't know. So I want to talk about some things here. I've got some notes, so I want to be careful here. A lot of these organizations, they are really looking for blind followers, right? And I think that most independent people, they don't want to follow blindly. And from what I understand about some of these clandestine bogus organizations, from the words of our guests that have been on, and we have a ton of episodes that we haven't released, folks, that you're expected to blindly follow and not question. Is that the organization that you'd want to be part of? I wouldn't want to be, but maybe I'm a little stronger willed. I think that if somebody is telling you not to question something, I would certainly bounce. Just my opinion. So before we start with some of the charges and then the past, I want you to hear a video from this person directly from his Facebook page. Okay? This is something really interesting that if this was a church or an organization or something I was involved in, and knowing that he represents my brand, this is a question, not making judgment. This is my opinion. I wouldn't like it, but would you be okay with somebody representing your brand and saying these things?
I was very honest when I said that yesterday. I don't do fades. I don't do fair ones. I don't do any of that. I am dead serious. Bleach, hydrochloric acid, flow stripper. I will squirt it in your face and beat a molar out of your mouth with a cue ball and a sock and not drop the ash on my cigar. I am unstable. I'm unstable like an engine without a motor mount. I'm telling you, don't play with me.
So what do you think? After listening to that, is that somebody that you'd want to represent your brand? I don't know. So let's get into the charges. Let's get into the charges, if we shall, please. So let's go to the complaint. Let's tell you how all of this started. So this is case number, for those who want to look it up on your own, 1885121 CRT number 184. The state of Texas versus Christopher Malcolm Jackson. So I'm not going to bore you with all the details, and I'm going to speed through this because I'm sure everyone that's watching this channel can read, right? So let's jump into this complaint. I'm going to leave the victim's name out, right? But it's public information, you can look. So victim, herein known as the complainant, affidavit, was going through a divorce and looking to hire a security guard to be in his home while he moved out. The victim spoke to a friend who advised that he had an acquaintance he knew from the cigar lounge that he frequented. Maybe that'll come up later. The friend told the victim that his acquaintance, later identified as the defendant, Christopher Malcolm Jackson, not going to put his date of birth out there, we don't need to be doxing people, worked as a security guard. Complainant stated he introduced this person, and he was ultimately hired to provide security at the victim's residence. The victim stated on May 12, 2024, he packed a bag which contained some clothing, cash, and 2 watches. I feel like I should do my best Shedeur Sanders right now. So, the 2 watches. The complainant then placed the bag by the door. The complainant stated that he returned to retrieve the bag on the same day and he found 2 watches were missing. The complainant searched the residence and was unable to locate the watches, so he reported the incident to Houston PD. Here we go. These are some watches. The complainant described the first watch as a men's platinum Rolex Daytona Glacier blue dial valued at $125,000. I've got a Rolex, not even close to that. That's a good one, my friend. Good on you. So the complainant described the second watch as a woman's Cartier caliber black dial valued at $35,000. Well, maybe that's why he's getting a divorce, because he bought his wife a cheaper watch. So the victim stated that the defendant was working at his residence on May 12, 2024, was inside the home and had access to the area where the complainant left his bag containing clothes and the 2 watches. So essentially, allegedly, dude was hired as a security guard and has allegedly been around some watches that were missing. So, complainant stated that several days after May 12, 2024, when he found his watches were missing, he was contacted by his friend, who he called for the security, and was informed that defendant had been bragging about coming into some money to the other patrons of the cigar lounge that they both attend. So homie's out there just chopping it up and saying, man, oh man, I just came into some money. Dum-dum. So the friend stated that he received, oh my God, you can't make this up. This is from the complaint. The friend stated that he received text messages from several cigar lounge patrons that were originally sent by the defendant. So homeboy had been sending out photos. One of the text messages contained a picture of the woman's Cartier watch and a man's Rolex watch. Another text message contained a picture of a check for $40,000. This is going to come into play, right? That had been made out to Christopher Malcolm Jackson on July 18, 2024, 2 months after alleged watches were missing. The victim stated that the friend sent the pictures of the 2 watches to him. He looked at the photos, and he believed that those were his watches. Okay, so the police got photos. So the police department went to the Houston jewelry buyers and spoke with a person there. The person confirmed that he had purchased a platinum Rolex Daytona Glacier Blue dial from the defendant, Christopher Malcolm Jackson, on July 18th. He provided, the guy from the jewelry store provided the detective with the serial number from the Rolex, which was confirmed to be from the victim. The person from the jewelry store provided the police department with a copy of the check number 3160 for $40,000 that had been made out to Christopher Malcolm Jackson, as well as a copy of his driver's license, which he presented at the same time. Person at the jewelry store told the police that the Rolex watch has already been sold to another customer. Womp womp. But he would see what he could do to try to get the watch back. Okay? So they went and checked out check number 3160, and they saw that it had been deposited at Navy Federal Credit Union on July 18th, 2024. Okay? Which was the same day the Rolex was sold. So the police department obtained video footage of the defendant depositing a $40,000 check into his account. They have still photos that match, and they match everything from the driver's license. All of this was in the name of, allegedly, Christopher Malcolm Jackson. So the police decided to reach out to the defendant, who denied taking the watches. This is all from the complaint. The defendant confirmed to the police that he did work security. Okay, went through all of this, and essentially, fast forward, I don't want to bore you, he has said, quote, I didn't have any watch. That's fine. So this is in the charging document that was actually signed on September 16th, 2024. So then I want to look at that. This is what we found out about Christopher Malcolm Jackson's criminal past. Just reading this information off. This is all public information, not making up anything. And again, Christopher Malcolm Jackson, these are alleged charges. He is in the pokey, so they must have had enough. So, April 15th, 1988. Let's just go to 1988, right? Arrest case number 881263. This is out of Indiana. Charge for burglary. Sentence, 5 years confinement. Charge 2, carrying a handgun. Charge, or the penalty, 1 year confinement. Charge 3, burglary. Charge, 6 years confinement concurrent. Okay? So, homie gets out a little early. Okay? 1993. He was convicted of another felony. That case number appears to be C92CRA073. Sentence was 94 days. That was in Ohio. So let's go to North Carolina. So he must have had some stuff going on. That was February of 93. A little bit later in North Carolina, convicted for breaking and entering of a motor vehicle. 5 years confinement. Ugh. Another count, 2 years confinement. Another count of breaking and entering. Looks like 10 years confinement. Keep in mind that's 1993. So fast forward, 2003. Man, that seems like 10 years after 1993. On December 19th, that's the court disposition date. Court case number 2002 CR058255. Eluding arrest in North Carolina, a felony. pled guilty, special conditions, served 125 days, 24 months probation. Around that same in that same time, he got popped for no driver's license, resisting a public officer. Oh gosh, this is crazy. So our boy's got a little bit of a checkered past, and so you'll say, God, the most recent thing was over 20 years ago, Byrd. Yeah, but there's just been a little bit of a pattern. And then you have the new thing that came up. So I know, because we talked to a lot of folks, sorry, reading my notes if you see me looking down, that the video that you saw earlier, District Attorney of Harris County has that, because when somebody says they're unstable, with their own words, that could be a little bit interesting when it comes to getting bail. We also know that former members of his organization, also working with some packets that we have in the state of Texas, those have been delivered to the District Attorney of Harris County as well. I don't know. If I'm the district attorney, I might. I don't think that this district deputy, I don't think he's going to sing. But this charge, if convicted, he could get at least 25 years in there. So that'll put him at 80. So I don't think he's going to spin on his fellas. That's just me. But it's going to be interesting. That $40,000. Wonder if he used it to somehow go back into his organization. Ooh, that would be not good, right? And is there, could they look at some money laundering, some other things like that? So I know that former associates that have been done wrong. We also know recently that, some of these organizations, they buy stuff, different things, regalia, whatnot, and they haven't maybe received the regalia. I would encourage you that if you know something, maybe the Harris County District Attorney would like to know these things. I don't know. So let's just switch around before we close. So this is not good, right? So as you guys know, the clandestine deal with this channel, I'll be very consistent. I don't have an issue with the members. Sometimes they don't know. And if you know what it is and you want to stay involved with that, I'm good with you. I don't really care, right? Whatever. It's the leaders. I've been consistent. The leaders that we've had several guests on that they had no idea what they were getting into. And then the stuff with the money and old Jar Jar coming on saying he had a 501c3 in the state of Arizona. Still not the case. So I don't know if that's a blind follower. All the facts are in the world of Google, men and women. If you're good with that, that's fine. But when you want to bring smoke and talk all this trash and send this way, the BTA, I don't know, is the BTA is busted then arrested? I know some people are calling it the belt to ass, but maybe it's busted then arrested. I don't know. But here's what some leaders of organizations are saying out there. And I'm going to throw some screenshots up so you can see them. Here's one. Throwing shade from the gutter has to be a crazy experience. I agree, sir. You are throwing some shade from the gutter. There is no doubt about it. I agree. Here's another with the BTA commission. Busted then arrested. I need everybody that don't like me to get together and figure out W2F y'all gonna do about it. Well, we kind of are, buddy. We kind of are. Another one. I'm not losing people. I'm learning who's not called to go with me. Separation is confirmation. So, is Christopher Jackson not called to go with you? Have you guys separated? Is this a breakup letter? Let us know. Here's another one. Good morning, beloved. Apologize when you are wrong. Stop looking for quotes that support your stupidity. I agree, buddy. I agree. I would love to see you apologize that you're wrong about some comments and look at your people in their face. You don't have to apologize to me. I don't care. Apologize to your people, right? Here's another one. Them folk mad at you because you don't need validation or approval from them. Why'd you beg to come on the podcast if you don't need validation or approval? And you said, I've been trying for years, Brian. You know what? I'm just going to insert that and remind you what you said.
You're the first person that I know of, and I've been doing this 31 years, to actually have a platform and allow somebody to come on and tell the other side. And I'm going to be honest with you. I have sent emails to other people, and I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And nobody even responded, right? So I appreciate you doing that.
Folks, I can't make this up. I cannot make this up. So I want to close with this. All of this is public information. Christopher Malcolm Jackson is innocent until proven guilty, at least in my eyes. I believe in the legal system in the United States. But I would really question, if I'm part of these organizations, what's going on. That's just me. I wouldn't roll that way. If this was going on in my jurisdiction, I would certainly have some things to say. You guys do have voices. I assume you have votes. I don't know how voting works. Apparently there might be a vacancy coming soon in the busted then arrested community. I don't know. I don't know how you submit applications. Maybe look into video descriptions. Maybe, I don't know if there's a formal application process. I don't know how that works. But again, I don't believe that all of these bogus or clandestine organizations. I joke and say, everything's tongue in cheek, right? I do not believe that all of these bogus clandestine organizations are criminal activities. Never felt that. Organizations have never felt that way. Have never felt that way. I'm consistent on the channel, right? I will tell you that in the age of Google, just make your own decisions. And are you part of I want to leave you with this. Just really think this through. Are you part of an organization that you know you can be proud of for your kids and your grandkids? We don't have a lot in this world, right? Your born date, your death date, and the dash in the middle. What dash are you leaving as your legacy for your family? And whatever that is, are you okay with it? I'm not here to tell you what you should or should not be okay with, but just think it through. Thanks for watching the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast. Cheers.